Hey guys, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Appreciate it. We're excited to have a lot of things to share with you. Some really good stuff. I brought a couple experts in. I'll introduce those guys in just a second once we get everybody logged in here. But while you're getting logged in, find the little chat area. Sometimes it's got a little speech bubble by it. Should be over to the right side. And go in there and just give us a shout out from your city or city state. That way we know where you guys are coming in from. It'll be fun to see who all we have here today. And man, obviously you're excited about getting into camping and RVing, so you're in the right place. So when I was 8 years old, my parents moved me to a camp in Northeast Ohio, and I remember the first thing my dad did was he gave me a lawnmower. There was 40 acres of lakes and grass and all kinds of stuff. And we had to, he's like, here you go, start mowing. So I grew up at a camp until I went off to college and loved camping and loved sitting around campfires and hearing stories and telling stories and just great friendships and memories. So I'm proud of you guys for taking time to learn about the big mistakes a lot of people make when they get into RVs. And so that's why we brought some experts along. Let me stop the slide here so you can see them. So on the left here is Eric LeRoy. Hey, Eric. Thanks for joining us. Eric works at RV Wholesalers as an RV specialist for how many years? Been there serving?
I'm just a touch over a year.
Over a year, and then lots of camping experience all around the world, actually. And so it'll be fun to tap into that knowledge. And Lane on our right. Hey, Lane. Thanks for taking a pause from helping folks and coming over here to join us for our webinar today. So appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, buddy.
Yeah. So you even camped yourself, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, got a 32-foot camper myself.
Okay.
Been doing this for about selling campers, talking to people about pros and cons of camping for about 5.5 years now. So guess you don't do something that long if you don't like it, right?
Right. No, and our family had a blast the last this summer, really getting into trying out all the different types. So don't be afraid to interject some stories of your camping experience in here, guys. And
absolutely,
because that's really beauty of it is, I mean, people are different at campgrounds. It's they're special. They're helping each other. I remember the first time we pulled into a campground this summer for our first camping trip of the season. And I had forgotten a long enough hose. My propane tank wasn't full. Chris Calkins, his neighbor from my left, came over, hooked me up with both those items. I mean, just awesome people and awesome times, great memories for our kids.
That's the great thing about campers and people in the camping industry is that, they're the people in that industry. They're grateful people. They're in God's country. You know what I mean? And you don't go camping in the middle of New York. I'm sure it's a great place, but I have no desire to go there.
Let's give some shout outs. Let's see if we have anybody from New York. We have Michael, Paul from Oregon. That's pretty far away.
Mike, is that the one who said he was Master Mike?
He's Master Mike.
Master Mike. That's absolutely
there we go. From Poconos. Yeah.
Oh, nice,
buddy.
Got Linda from Kentucky, Greg from Indiana, Sherry down in Texas. We just got a new place down in Texas, Dodge City. Thomas in St. Petersburg, Florida. Barbara, great to have you guys. Concord, North Carolina. Yeah. Latanya, thanks for joining us. Tom out in Georgia. Michael, we already got him. Francis from Kentucky. Deb in Illinois. Stan in St. Augustine. Man, we got people all over the place. Colorado, that's God's country out there. Probably sunnier than it is here in Ohio today. So we're in Ohio. I'm actually up in Cleveland. You guys are down in Lakeview, which is about not even northwest of Columbus, Ohio. So very cool. Mark in LA, nice and warm down there.
Actually, I think Colorado's getting snow right now. My mom and dad live out in Colorado, and that's where I'm from originally. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they're getting dumped on pretty hard right now.
Yeah, you're in Colorado.
Camping weather, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Hey, well, let's jump right in here. We have 5 big buying mistakes you can avoid. The first one, not asking for the out the door price. Who wants to talk about that first? That's something I'm sure you've seen a lot happening.
I talked about that one a little bit last time.
Yeah, so I mean, not asking for the out the door price. I mean, it's a very common misunderstanding, and people in, like I said, people in the RV industry are not the RV industry as a whole. I'll just throw this out there, and most people will agree for our seasonal campers out there, it's not a very reliable source. Okay, there's not a lot of honest people out there in the RV industry. At the end of the day, okay? And it really is. You know, every so often, you know how like salespeople in general. I mean, let's just throw out that stigma, right? Salespeople in general, there's no good personality about it. It's just always, how can I get deeper into my pocket, right? Is really the mindset people come when they go and talk to a salesperson. Hence why you have a lot of people that'll walk onto a dealership's lot and just say, "Hey, I'm just here to look. I didn't really want to talk to anybody." The reason why they didn't want to talk to somebody is because they feel uncomfortable. They feel like they are about to get taken advantage of. And so, and the reason why you don't want to go ask for that out the door price is because you pretty much have to take their word on it at that point. And so I go into this rant about why not asking for that out the door price, because people's out the door pricing are all different. Okay. Mm-hmm. You could be, you know, someone's out the door price might be, you know, just the camper itself, the out the door price on the camper. Then there's the out the door price with fees. And then there's the out the door price with taxes and fees. Because if I'm not required to collect taxes for your state, why would I include that in my price? Because it is out the door. You know what I mean? So it's a very, you know, like I said, the RV industry is very misconstruing. Okay. So they will, in any way that they want, any way that they can, they'll definitely try to twist that to where they can go about that. And so that's why I'd say, you know, out the door pricing is a little bit something you don't really want to ask for.
Yeah. So but you mentioned something, hidden fees, and that's kind of where I think a lot of people are getting surprised, I guess, when they come to the end of their experience, ready to pick up their trailer or RV camper.
Yeah, and I mean, me and Eric have both seen it. I mean, out the door, you know, out the door pricing and hidden fees. I mean, they're gone rampant.
I saw it today. Actually,
exactly. I mean, it's a daily occurrence of what we've seen and what we will continue to see, because ever since internet sales became such a big thing, I mean, who would ever thought that 20 years ago we'd be doing what we're doing right now, talking to people all across the nation on a video chat? The same thing applied when we were looking at how to buy a camper. You know, before, you know, this whole internet thing came out, camping buying was showing up to your local dealer, whether you like the man or not, but you showed up there. You probably went to church with him. If you didn't go to church with him, your kids go to school together, and he's the big wig of that local town. And basically you go buy a camper from him. Okay. And you take his word that he's doing you right. And just, that's not the case anymore. And so dealerships have to become like a chameleon. They need to change, okay? They're basically saying, like, listen, now that these wholesalers and people like that are out there, they're throwing out these rock bottom prices, and I can't compete. You know, if they're made in Indiana and I'm a guy out in California, a dealership out in California, how can I sell at the same price a guy in Indiana is selling it for? I've got so much more in money just to get it out to me, let alone profit I make. You know what I mean? And so that being said, those hidden fees are where they start to come into play, because they'll advertise it at, I don't know, you know, they'll advertise it, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 cheaper than what they're actually going to sell it to you for. And then they start tacking things on, you know, we all the time. I mean, and Eric can tell you a few of the ones that he's seen, you know, as of recently. I mean, and you got them listed there behind you too. I mean,
I'm going to put up a list here, but Eric, go ahead and tell us about one you saw today. I'm curious about this.
Oh, this one, it was actually kind of odd, because it came from a state that, you know, is, you know, still quite a bit higher than what you would see. But where it hung me up is that a gentleman, he put in a quote, and I called him, and he said, he's like, well, I feel like I'm kind of regretting my decision, because I saw you guys months ago on a live RV show, which, you know, I'm sure we'll be talking about that later. Coming up. But he discovered us, and then he saw a camper on that show that he loved, and he ended up going to his local dealership down in Tennessee. They not only got him into a $5,000 deposit, but he ended up he ended up getting
non-refundable, of course.
Non-refundable,
yeah, more than likely.
Right? And not to toot our horn or anything, but ours being only 1,000, that locks you into something, basically saying that if you do back out of this for a cheaper deal somewhere else, you're not getting that $5,000 back, and you're still counting it as a loss. But anyway, he knows that he didn't get a good deal, and it kind of breaks me down a little bit. It's just like, what could I have done better to get to him sooner? But you live and learn. And
that's kind of like Alan just wrote in here. Alan Downs said
word for word.
We had almost purchased a new RV. Yeah, maybe.
Alan, are you in Tennessee?
We almost purchased a new RV, and then when
this stuff right here is why I'm still doing what I do. Okay, I've been in the car industry. I've been in the I got my realtor's license, things like that. I mean, I've done all of these things that that sales is all a part of. The retail business and everything like that. Right? There's only certain lines that you can seriously get behind, and certain businesses that you can seriously get behind. And we can talk about us as a business later, but the reason why we do these shows is for situations just like Alan, where I know for a fact, as much as I would love to, I cannot sell to every single customer out there. This year alone, there's going to be 600,000 plus campers sold this year, right? And no matter what me as a person or us as RV wholesalers does, I just can't touch everybody. There's way too much volume there. And we'll more than happy work with as many people as we possibly can. But once we hit a cap, we hit a cap. You can't do more than what you can, right?
Yeah.
And that's when, someone tries to do more, that's when stuff starts falling back. And then you start, going backwards instead of forwards and things like that. But the reason we do these shows is so that way when you guys do go to buy from a local dealer, listen, at that point, this is what you need to watch out for, X, Y, Z. If X, Y, and Z are all equal and they're all comparable, and you're cool with the price, then great, buy the camper. But until X, Y, and Z are in line with you, your moral codes, and right by the deal, well, then at that point, that's when we would rock and roll from there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And David Durnell, one of the owners and founders of this company here, RV Wholesalers, he's going to join us. So we're going to try to tap in live up into his office. But he was a teacher, and that was kind of his whole purpose, like, man, I just want to teach these folks and equip them so they're not caught off guard. And speaking of that, PDI I have on here. I bet that's one of Alan's in that 4,000. I can guarantee you that was probably one of them that showed up in that surprise at the end. So can you, one of you guys talk about that?
Yeah, PDI is one of those fees. It's pre-delivery inspection is what that stands for, okay? And basically the PDIs happen on just about every single camper. There are very, very, very few situations where a PDI doesn't take place, but to the retail customer, of course, a PDI has to take place, okay, guys? So basically what needs to happen is they go through the camper, make sure everything works properly, and then make sure that there's no additional problems. See, the manufacturer pays them to do that. Okay, so that being said, if they are charging you for PDI, they are now double dipping. Okay, so they're getting paid from the manufacturer. Now you're paying them as well. They're making twice the amount of money on a very simple and has to happen thing.
Well, and it's and to capitalize really on that is a PDI, pre-delivery inspection, and so basically, to put it in this way, so like they're charging you to have that camper prepared for you to buy, for basically to have it sit on their lot. That's what that they're saying. If they're charging you for that, they're charging you to have your camper sit on their lot waiting for you to buy it.
In perfect condition, the way you would expect it to be. Like any car you go to pick up, I mean, you want it. I mean, I know it. You definitely want to make sure that PDI happens. I was there not too long ago, last week, and I walked by a camper, and all of a sudden water's like dripping down all around me. Like, what? And they're up there with a hose and an iPad and a checklist of like 100 items, spraying to make sure that water doesn't leak into the vents and fans, AC and all that stuff. So it's definitely a great thing, but not something you should have to pay for, right?
Absolutely. And so, we talked about PDI, right? So just one thing to keep in mind, guys, the factory pays the dealerships to PDI the campers, okay? Don't pay your PDI fees, okay? The next one on there is freight, factory freight or factory transport, or however a dealership wants to proclaim it. It's the same thing. It's how much money does it take to get the camper from point A to point B, point A being the manufacturer, point B being the dealership. How much money does it cost to get there? Okay. There's two different ways to go about this. Okay. One, you can hide the fee, hide it, or you can be out front, let people know about it, or you can, I guess there's three ways, or you can pack it into your deal. Okay. So those three different ways is what you can go. The first one obviously is, if you're going to hide it. Hiding it is basically, like we said, you basically wait till the end, something like Alan talked about here earlier in the chat. You wait till the end to finalize the details, and then they hit you with it, okay? Mm-hmm. The reason that dealerships can do that is because you got to think of it from a outside perspective looking in, all right? If me and my kids, I've got 2 kids and a beautiful wife, if we travel across the nation to go pick up a camper that we bought down in Texas, I'm from Ohio, and I get all the way down to Texas and I go to sign the final dotted line, and they said, by the way, you need to pay for X, Y, and Z. First off, I'm going to be extremely infuriated. But what they didn't also show you is that you already walked through the camper. Your wife has already bought all of the things for the camper. This particular camper, by the way, she's also already just started to design. She's already told all of her friends about it. We've already got 3 camping trips planned. Now let's get to the kids. They've already picked out which bunk they're going to sleep on. They've already got their shoes off, climbing on the bunks, jumping on the couch. That's what kids do. They're kids, right? Now all of this is going down, and then dad goes in to go sign the final dotted line, or mom, I can't be whichever way that goes, right? Daddy and mom go to sign the final dotted line, and they say, by the way, you owe us X. Alan's case, $4,000, right? In most cases, it's a little bit higher in all reality, depending on which state and which location you're at, depending on how far you have to come from the manufacturer. Yeah. California, on average, I see about a $10,000 deal there. Okay, whether they hide it or whether you get it out of them, that's up to that's up to you guys in terms of taking these tips and going out about your day, about your purchase, right? But that being said, that $10,000, they basically say, how are you planning on paying that? Well, I look out at my kids and they're sitting there still jumping on the couch. My wife's looking at me saying, how could you screw this up? And then I'm like, oh, come on now. Like, you got to be kidding me. How am I supposed to get about this? And basically what happens is I pull out a credit card, I swipe it, and I go on my way feeling guilty about the whole entire time that I even took that trip. Yeah,
and not being able to wait to sell it just so you can get rid of the memory. We hear about that. Oh yeah, shoot, we hear about that almost daily. It's where somebody gets almost scared out of buying another camper because of a bad experience.
Literally just the other day, I was talking to a lady by the name of Veronica. The exact same situation where she walked to the dealership, they added all the fees, she said no, and then went away.
That's sad. I was just asked, are you going to provide a list of these? So I actually put together this nice little list here. I'm going to do this as a download. So right now I'm going to put that on there. Oh shoot. Well, give me a minute, but by the end, we're going to have this as a download that you can get. And if not, and then at the very end, about an hour or 2 later, you'll get a replay of this. So if you miss a part, we can go back and you can listen to it again. So that'll be coming. Go ahead and as you get questions too, don't be afraid to put them in that chat area.
Tim,
we're going to be going through that. Go ahead.
I wanted to stop here. I see that George here saying, that's some, I would say, nonsense. I'm not just buying an RV. I'm buying a relationship. Integrity is key, and integrity it's everything. I don't know about anybody else, but me. I mean, I was raised up in a military family. I went and I served in the military for awesome. 2 tours. For an 8-year tour. So, integrity is something that I can't sleep without. And, you were very right. You're buying a relationship with that person, because when you think about it, us as a salesperson, we're not just trying to sell you one and be done. We're trying to sell you your third. We're trying to sell you your first motorhome when you get to retirement. And, we go for that long lasting, relationship with our customers. Shoot, I just had somebody I sold last year. They're already looking to upgrade into a 5th wheel, and guess who the first person they called?
And those are the easiest people to talk to. You've already created a relationship with somebody, and the one thing that, I've thankfully be graced with a position to where I can help other people as they grow in this business, right? And the one thing that I'll preach to every single one of the people that I help here is that you are a business within your business, okay? And this is where I guess we get a little off topic, but it's okay because we're live doing this webinar. But the cool thing is people that buy campers or buy anything, they're a billboard, whether they want to be or not. And they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to praise you to the kingdom come, or they're going to tear you down. Okay. It's one of two things. Okay. Because people like to brag about what they bought. It just happens.
That's campfire conversation. Yeah, I think we actually talked about that last time. Campfire conversations are viral.
Oh, yeah. And it's basically either it was great and I loved everything about it. You guys need to go talk to him or her, or it was garbage. You need to stay away from him or her. And this is why. And so, back to like hidden fees and things like that. There were a few questions on here saying, can the fees be financed? Absolutely, guys. The fees are not they're not something that has to be paid cash for. Okay, it's something that it involves the bottom dollar. Okay, your bottom dollar on the bottom of your purchase agreement. Okay, what does that bottom dollar say after all fees are added? The balance due. What does that say? I need to know what that says, right? And so that is the amount that you're going to finance, or the amount that you're going to pay cash for, or whatever that comes down to. Okay. These different fees, again, if a dealership's being smart about their fees, they're going to space them out instead of packing them all into their deal. Okay. That transport fee, that's a huge one. Okay. Depending on how far they are from the manufacturer will depend on
which is Elkhart, Indiana. So you guys can kind of do the math.
You can do
to make sure you're not getting ripped off. I mean, what, $1 to $2 being the max per mile kind of thing? Or
absolutely.
What do you
absolutely.
think?
So like, let's just say for us, okay, our factory freight, I can talk about us because I know me, right? I know a lot of other dealerships too, but I can talk about me because I'm legally allowed to at this time, right? So $360, that's what it costs for me to get a camper from the manufacturer to my location in Lakeview, Ohio. Okay. Now, again, I said there was 3 ways we can go about different fees. Okay. I can either pack it into the price of the camper, I can hide it, or I can be honest and tell you about it. Okay. What you're going to see here, guys, is if I pack it into the camper, I'm also getting taxed on that transportation. Okay. Transportation is a tax free or a tax deductible, whatever you want to call it, right? You don't get taxed on transportation. Let's just put it that way. All right. So if I pack it into that price, that overall price, you're getting taxed on it. Now, granted, it's only $360, but that's $20. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And as the saying goes, $20 is $20. You know what I mean? And so, and so you have the if you pack it in there, then you get taxed on it. And now us, it's $360. But what about Texas? What about California? $3,500 and $4,000, and let's just get up to Washington. I mean, Washington's somewhere around $4,200. So that being said, you can either pack it in there, or you can, be honest and tell people about it and put it under the tax line, so that way they don't get taxed on top of it. So that's, I guess, a tip of what you guys should be looking for when you talk to dealerships is saying, hey, is the factory freight subsidized out so I don't get taxed on that? That's extra money I don't have.
That's a good question. Write that down, guys. Very good. I threw out a poll real quick. How many of this will be your first time buying an RV? 83% of you guys said this will be my first. So you definitely picked the right place. That's but awesome. 17% have already done it. And so for those, I have a quick tip on getting the most for your trade-in. Sometimes people don't do that. And you guys want to talk real briefly about that, and then we'll take some more questions.
Don't trade it in.
I think it's like really awesome though. You said how many? 83%?
Yeah.
That's incredible that out of everything that has happened in this year of 2020 worldwide, I mean, it's just incredible that people have come together with their families and things like that. It's just what, this is what life's all about. And I think that this whole pandemic's really taught us a whole lot about being close to yours.
Yes. Yep. I know our family has gotten a lot closer. I mean, you have no choice, right? And then,
no choice.
You realize wow, this is actually fun. We can actually enjoy this. And and then you've got people too that find RVs is an awesome way to be able to keep to yourself, protect your family from any viruses, whatever. And I know guys at RV Wholesalers, I've been there. There's like a sticker after they go through and spray down the insides. They put a sticker and seal it so that when you get it, it's like the first time anyone's been into it after it's been, decontaminated or whatever you want to call it. And, but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to go into rest areas. I know I was on a plane a couple weeks ago and I was shocked that I was sitting elbow to, shoulder to shoulder with people. I was in the middle seat. And, so this is definitely a nice way to keep your family safe too. So very cool. Yeah. So about trade-ins. So you were serious?
Sorry. We got a little.
In all reality, especially this time of year. Okay. Trade-ins are a very, scarce commodity. Okay. Trading in a camper right now in this time of year when there's no stock out there, would honestly be foolishness. Okay. Now, granted, you do have those situations where, you got taken advantage of by, a dealership who's not accredited. They're out to take advantage of you. And then at that point, you've got basically people that are buried in their camper and they have no option but to roll over the negative equity. Okay. At that point, obviously you have to trade it in. Okay. There's certain things that you want to look out for when you're doing that. Basically just looking for the bottom line. Okay. It doesn't matter what they give you for your trade. It doesn't matter how much you're selling the camper for. What's my bottom line say? Does it say 20,000 or does it say 25,000? Mm-hmm. Which one am I going to buy? The 20,000. I don't care if they gave me $1 for my trade. I don't care if they're selling me the camper for $1 and charging me to take their trade. It doesn't matter. Okay. All that matters is what does the bottom dollar say? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the very most important thing when it comes to trade-ins. But if at all possible, guys, do try to sell your camper outright. The used market right now, they're flying off the market. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to say the great places to sell them right now. Facebook Marketplace is huge. Okay. And then also you've got Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. There's a lot of small
offer up,
LinkedIn, Let Go. There's a million of them out there that are just small, independent where you're located at, or frankly, just throw a for sale sign on it and try to, see if you can't sell it at a high busy place because people talk, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I remember when a couple weeks ago when we were doing our Halloween camping weekend, the couple next to us they pulled up in there. They had their little travel trailer, I don't know, 20 some feet, and they saw my brand new Wildwood travel trailer and they asked how much it was. And it was like 16 and some change. And they're like, "You're kidding. I paid 15 used for this one and it's 7 or 8 years. I think it was 8 years old at that time." And so, so if you're thinking used versus new, it's definitely, the used market is hot, which means the prices are high, which is good for you selling them. But definitely
maybe not the best. And it looks like Susan even just asked new versus used. What's the best option?
And to kind of plug in too, and to kind of add with that, with a lot of it goes without saying that there's a lot of dealers out there that are taking advantage of kind of a sensitive time in our country right now. And I mean, let's not be blind to that people are, people. And, and there's always going to be that person out there that wants more. Now, with that being said, people that are getting these trailers sold for an astronomical amount of money, what does that mean for the used market, in 2 years?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be looking at a 2-year-old camper that you can buy a brand new one and save money.
And I mean, that's what we see too. I mean, there's going to be an influx, it's just like a roller coaster. You see high prices and everybody gets real again and then they drop again. But right now, guys, if you are looking to get rid of a camper or you are looking to sell a camper, I would obviously advise trading it in just based on what the market looks like here currently. But at that point, if you can't sell it outright, then trade it in.
Hey, would you guys be willing if I throw this out to them to give you a call or an email to figure out what their NADA book value would be? Because you guys have that huge book, don't you? It's like comes every month. It's a brand new,
I call that the RV Bible.
The RV Bible.
I'll pop up your information if you guys don't mind. So this is Lane's extension 157 Wisner at rvwholesalers.com. And then Eric LeRoy, extension 145. LeRoy at rvwholesalers.com. Either of these guys will help you out with figuring out what that actual value is for that year, and for all the details. And it's just a nice way to figure out what that is, because dealers, they know exactly what they will pay for things. So, and that book really helps them out, and it's an expensive bit of data to get if you don't have, if you're not a dealership. So thanks guys for being willing to do that.
Dealerships should get this training too. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, go ahead and jump into some of the questions here.
Yeah, so
before we get into our next big.
Would love to address a few of them here. Some people were asking about us as a dealership. What do we do differently? How are we different as a dealership? Honestly, there's a lot of things. And I mean, I can touch briefly. I don't want to spend too much time. That's not the main reason why we're here. We're here to help you guys buy a camper. But of course, if you do want to buy from us, we'll be happy to assist. The main thing though, guys, is that we're going to be straightforward with you guys. Okay. We're a straight shooter. We love our customers. We're going to give you guys some amazing service. And again, David's going to be talking to you guys about the service that we do here in a little bit. But we love our customers. We're going to give you guys some amazing pricing, but our service is what keeps our customers for life. Okay. And if I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, you're going to see everything about the deal in writing before you travel from California to me. I can also obviously provide references, me and Eric both, of our international clients and our clients.
Yeah, because you guys sell probably more outside of Ohio than you do in. I mean,
absolutely.
A lot more than
30% or less, I think, is here in Ohio.
Yeah, there's not honestly, there's not as many in Ohio as what you typically see. We claim a good amount of the Ohio business. Obviously, if we're, here in the backyard and we're doing everything the right way, a lot of people will, give that to us, their business to us. But at the same time, a lot of our business does come in, across the entire United States of America. So we're pretty happy about that. But
yeah, what are we at right now? I think we're well on our way to hitting over 2,700. Campers sold this year so far.
Yeah.
And less than 30% of those are local Ohio. So you got to wonder, it's like, what is it that keeps these people buying from us all across the country every day? With the best price in the country set aside, you also, get our nationwide service network that's practically nearly completely customer built.
Oh yeah.
We've been doing this a long time, first company in the nation to sell an RV on the internet. It's just, with experience comes offering, and it just so happens that you get the best price in the country along with it.
Yeah, that's good.
It looks like
we have a replay coming. I saw someone just logged in. Rob, we'll have a email that comes to you with the replay of this, so you'll have that information. And in that link, I will make sure we have a link to our buying mistakes, our hidden fees piece. I'm having a hard time getting that up on the screen so you can download it, but I'll keep working on it while
as you're working on that there, another one, David looked like David answered here from Paul. I'll kind of elaborate a little bit on that. Not only, Paul, are you not able to buy from the manufacturer, but you wouldn't want to buy from the manufacturer. Okay. The main reason, in the same instance, if someone said I wanted to pick up from the manufacturer, okay. Once the process of a camper being built, right? So they build a camper in about, I say anywhere between 4 and 5 days. Okay. And that's giving them they're working slow that week. Okay. So that being said, that camper, it goes through an inspection after it from the manufacturer, but at the same time, they understand that it's going to the dealership. Okay. So there might be minute problems with that camper that they haven't addressed yet. But they are paying the dealership, again, PDI, pre-delivery inspection. They're paying the dealership to do that service, to inspect the camper before it goes to the customer, right? And so that being said, if you are picking up from the manufacturer, you can imagine that PDI does not happen. Thus, if they forgot or intentionally left off a radio head, a speaker, exterior speaker, an awning cover, whatever it is. There's a million different things they could possibly leave off. But if they left something off for the dealership to take care of and you picked it up from the manufacturer, now what? Now you're in between a rock and a hard place. You wanted to pick it up from the manufacturer, and so they let you do it, and now you're frustrated because it's it doesn't work. Well, you jump the process here. So you want to pick up from from a dealership and go ahead and get the PDI done. And then make sure, obviously, you get your walkthrough as well. But that's another hidden fee there, Tim.
That's good. I was just actually at the manufacturers last week. I was at Rockwood, been at about 6 different manufacturers the last month or so. And it's really interesting. I know some people were asking in prior webinars, like, well, what about quality? You know, like, you guys are cranking out an extra thousands extra this year compared to previous years. So I'm a little concerned about quality. So that was one of my big questions when I went in there. They actually let us inside the factories with cameras. So we took video and everything. And I was impressed. Like, they had purpose not to extend their, not to just crank out more, faster. They kept the quality the same inspection process like you were talking about. But they just said, hey, we only have so many workers in our town. This is a small town. I mean, these are small towns like Millersburg, Indiana.
The Rockwood factory is bigger than the whole town.
It is.
Well, the thing with Rockwood is it's in the middle of Middleburg, Indiana.
Amish country,
one of the highest population of Amish in the nation. And so when you go to if you ever do get a chance to go to the manufacturer, which Tim, you obviously saw, you probably saw the 250 buggies lined up out front on the road.
They even have their own barn. Like, they give free water and hay for their employees' horses. So it's pretty impressive.
But it's like a Toby Keith song.
It's like a Toby Keith song.
So it was pretty cool to see that they decided, you know what, we'd rather make the queue longer and not sacrifice quality. And so that's kind of the thing. It may take a little longer. Thankfully, you guys have allotments in that queue, so you're not like at the end of the line. But yeah, so it's definitely good that you guys are thinking about RVs right now, because for spring camping, this is the time to kind of figure it out and you know, get in line. So wherever you order from, so there's just really nothing out on lots very much in stock. So which is fine. I mean, it's nice to have one customized just for you. So, and the other thing, I know some people are asking, like, does it come winterized? So that's the beauty of it. It's manufactured, then it's winterized, and then the PDI process, they make sure it's winterized. So it can be delivered to your house, to your storage facility, whatever, you know, if you want to get it before during the winter or something to get it ready for spring. But so you have a lot of options there. So
and if cool. I could interject there, Tim, that's another thing that some dealerships will charge for is a re-winterization.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, no, I'm being serious. You know, if a customer specifically asks for the camper to be re-winterized, they will basically say, yeah, you know, you can. It'll be another $250 though, you know, because or else we can't test your camper. I mean, how are we? And that's play it off as you should have known. You wanted me to get your camper here, didn't you? You wanted me to do a walkthrough on the camper, didn't you? You wanted me to do a PDI, didn't you? And that's how they play it off, to where you're just like, well, I guess it makes sense. And then you fork over the $4,000 and you continue on your merry way. And while your wife's being frustrated to you in the ear, and kids are they don't have a clue what's going on. Why is dad so mad? And that is what it is.
And camping trip ruined.
Camping trip ruined.
Yeah. They should make a hashtag out of that.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit more about the finance side. A lot of people, and I have this awesome secret coming up that don't tell them yet. We're going to talk a little bit about terms, understanding RV terms. So if you guys can talk about that, what to kind of expect, and because a lot of people go into these kind of thinking it's just like the auto, or just, you know, it's different, being that it's a second home. So you want to talk about that?
When people that go into it, like you just said, it's the car industry, and then people assume that it's going to be the exact same, you know what I mean? And so they'll come in and they get hit with a higher interest rate than what they're typically used to. You know, with 800 credit, they walk in and get a 599 on 180 months or something like that, and they're confused. They're like, I thought I had good credit. The thing of the matter is, guys, is that RV financing is different than any other type of financing, you know. Okay, they're longer terms. Okay, and contrary to your belief, the longer the term, the better the interest rate. Okay, so you want to stretch it as far as you possibly can to get your best term possible. And then at that point, they are recreational loans, so they're simple interest, so you can pay it off in, say, half the time. Okay, thus for having an effective interest of half your interest rate. So that's kind of the one thing to kind of take into consideration is they are longer terms, a little bit higher interest rate. It's a higher risk for the bank on recreational loans.
And
okay, let me make
with that, like their local credit union, they're like, well, I can get this from my local credit union. They're like, well, what's the term and payment that you're looking at? And then they find out it's like, oh shoot, like our payment with our local credit union is $400 more. Well, that's because it's for like 5 years.
Exactly.
Because they don't offer true recreational lending. And that's the thing. That's the key point right there to look at is what is the offer, and is it a loan structured specifically for recreational vehicles?
Okay, so Lane, when you said 20 years, just throw out an example. So if I got a 20-year loan on an RV, and then I purpose to make double payments, pay it off in 10 years, basically. If I figure out what a way that I could basically pay that thing off in 10 years. So I would be further ahead than taking a 10-year loan because I'd get a better interest rate, right?
Right.
So get the 20-year purpose paid off in 10, then I always have that cushion if I have a bad year like 2020 or something. And I need to stretch it out a little bit. I can always do that. But if not, I end up being further ahead at the end of 10 years. I'll have paid less than I would if I took a 10-year loan and paid it off in 10 years.
Well, let me put it in a number sense, okay? I'm a numbers guy. And that's just what I do, right? I talk numbers when I talk. Let's just say it's a 20-year loan at a 5% interest rate, okay? Whereas if you were wanting a 10-year loan, the same loan, you're looking at more at about a 6%, okay? So if I paid that 20-year loan off in 10 years, I'm looking at a 2.5% interest rate versus a 6% if I would have just signed it up at a 10-year loan. Okay. So that's the main thing to consider when you guys are taking these loans out. If you're going to, I know Elliot mentioned something about paying in full for it. And so
wait, don't talk about that yet. I
ain't talking about it yet, Tim. I'm going to let you drop the ball here, man. But again, there's different circumstances for different things, but with it being a simple interest loan, that is the explanation that I just gave of cutting your interest in half by paying it off in half the time. That's the effective interest though. Okay, guys. So just take that in consideration. The effective interest that you'll pay over the half amount of time is going to be half the interest rate.
Nice. All right. I got to pop this slide up here. It's time, boys. Not really a big dealer financing secret. So I did not know this until we started doing these webinars and you guys came in and educated me. But what's unique that's happening at every car dealership, every RV dealership across the nation when you finance? Who wants to talk about that?
Every dealership on the face of this planet that does anything from lawnmowers to campers to boats to anything, semi-trucks, let's get creative with it. So any dealer that offers an in-house financing on anything gets, they get what's sometimes often referred to as like a back-end money from a bank or kickback from a bank. There's a lot of
dealer reserve
terms out there for it. But what that is actually it's a dealer reserve, and we get this money from this financing, and it's just like, well, why don't we cut these customers a really great deal, and just to capitalize on top of an already great existing deal. And they're like, wow, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the bank for any deal that a dealership or of any type writes with a bank, the bank will give back money to the dealership as a commission or whatever you want to call it. Like you said, the dealer reserve kickback.
When you got
and we're talking what, few $100s, or could it be more significant when you're talking an RV?
You're talking thousands at this point. I mean,
seriously,
on RVs, they're going to be in the thousands. Jeez. Now, usually, and a good rule of thumb is to go at about anywhere between 5 and I'd say right around 2 and 5% of unit subtotal is a good price to run off of. Okay. Sure. And so that being said, when you're talking about, a $100,000 vehicle, you're looking at about, $5,000 getting kicked back to that dealership. Okay. And same thing applies in these campers. Okay. And I know that they had mentioned something, Elliot mentioned something about paying in cash, and that's where I was heading. Obviously stopped myself short. But basically, guys, the main thing is negotiations are all about using what you know, what you have. Okay. What is going to make the most sense for the dealership and the customer as well. Okay. Everybody, you know, the best thing that people need to understand going into something is you're not going to win against the house. All right. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise the house wouldn't be there. Yeah. All right, guys, go to Vegas. I mean, you'll never win. It just doesn't happen. Same thing applies to dealerships. No matter how good of a deal you thought you just got, you will not win, period. Okay. It's just, the dealership's not there to lose money, obviously. And so that being said, guys, taking what we're telling you guys and using this to your advantage is going to be something that's going to be very important. With this financing, we do get paid. And so we, as a dealership, turn around and give that to you. And so now
I remember the owners. I remember when David was talking about 20 years ago when they did that first remote sale and they financed and they got that check from the bank. Like, what in the world is this?
Exactly.
They build in their profit, they build in their price, you know, and then all of a sudden there was extra money coming in. It's like, well, let's just give this back to our customers that we love, and you know, that kind of thing. So that was kind of what
my favorite word, you know, like, cause I came from, you know, I have, you know, several years of sales experience and stuff like that. When I started working here, a particular word, it got, you know, to be pretty comical, and it's called wiggle room. You know, if it's just like, you know, can you guys do a little bit better on this? And, you know, we might have a little bit of wiggle room in there. Are you going to finance? And, you know, and it's just like, where do you think that wiggle room comes from? You know, that's kickbacks from a bank, you know, and, you know, feel free to just go out there. Like next time you go, after you pick out your camper, you go buy your tow vehicle, just say, hey, you know, if I finance, you know, I want to get it. I want to get it on that dealer reserve too. You know,
you just keep that card to the very end, right?
Just squeeze them.
I love George's comment here. He said, "I'm okay with the house wins every time. I just don't want to get hosed," and that's why we're here, guys. We're here to, you know, we don't want you to get hosed either. Okay, and let me explain why. Okay. When you guys go to buy this camper, whether you buy it from us or from another dealership, and you do get hosed, you can't buy another camper for at least 20 years. I'm putting money on it. Okay. That being said, if you do the things correctly and do it the right way, now you guys can get out of it and upgrade and, you know, have freedom when it comes to buying these campers. I say it all the time. I enjoy steak as a man in America. I enjoy steak, right? But I don't need to eat steak every single day for the next 20 years of my life because I sold you. You know what I mean? And so, you know, you can have ramen every so often at the end of the day. And so these tips of what we're giving you guys, this is, you know, so that you guys can get a good deal on a camper, you know, understanding that everybody has to participate. You know, you're going to get a good deal, but understanding also that, you know, the dealership has to still make money as well. Otherwise they won't be there to give you service at the end of the day or to be able to do the things that said dealership will do for you.
So Elliot, let's get back to Elliot because that is a question.
I was on the another tangent. I'm sorry.
It's a really great question.
Because they plan for their whole life. They've sold their house. They have cash, you know, and they don't want to go in debt. And so go ahead and explain. Like, I'm sure you have an option for them that they can still get.
There's always a loophole in the system. There really is, guys, especially with this financing thing. Okay, banks. You got to think these are multi-billion-dollar corporations, okay? Third-party lending, okay? So we're talking about Bank of America, BB&T, U.S. Bank, Huntington. They do broad spectrums, okay? When they do make a decision about something, it's over a broad spectrum, okay? It's not going to apply to everybody, but it will benefit that 5%. So 95% of the people out there in the industry will finance and have to finance, okay? People like Elliot in their situation, or people who've saved their entire lives to buy a camper, and now they have cash in the bank account ready to stroke the check. Those people basically at that point, they'll be just like, hey, listen, I don't want to finance. I don't need to finance. But again, there's a loophole in the system. For those 5%ers out there, guys, what you'll do is you will take that loan out because that is money from the bank, period. Okay? It's, you know, either you pay it or the bank pays it. Either way, it's getting paid to the dealership, right? And so basically, that being said, when it comes to that money from the bank, you're going to basically want to make sure that you keep the loan open for at least 1 year. And then after that first year, you're going to want to turn around and pay it off, okay, because there is only a 1 year minimum on it. I don't know if he froze or not.
It's either that or he's really happy.
He's just smiling. God.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
He's not
back.
smiling anymore.
Okay, I was trying to explain what you were explaining because you guys froze up. So
Yeah.
why don't we start over? What happens? You have 1 year. Yeah, just go start over
minimum.
again.
Okay, guys. So there is a 1 year minimum. All right. And basically what that means is that for that 1 year, you do only have to keep the loan open for said year. Okay. We've already gone into the elaboration to say that it is a simple interest loan. And so you can pay it off early. Okay. Pay it down early. And so basically what you're going to want to do is for that 1 year, you're going to keep the loan open, but you're going to only keep your minimum payment open for the 12 payments. On the very first payment, you're going to do something crazy and put down 80% on the very first payment. Okay. And so 80% of the loan goes to the bank on the very first payment, and then your minimum payment open for the rest of the 1 year. Yeah. So that way you can save that amount of money. You'll pay about $150, $200 in interest.
Yeah.
But since it is simple interest, your principal is calculated daily. Your interest paid is calculated off your principal daily. So basically, if I'm up here, my principal's at $60,000. As an example, David said, if my principal's at $60,000 and I drop it all the way down to $2,400, now I'm only paying interest on this $2,400 down here, and thus far it's going to be
the last 8 months or 9 months. Yeah.
And David's also right too. You know, the way he's kind of typed it out here, and his understanding is exactly right. You know, with say if figuratively $5,000, you know, us at RV Wholesalers, we're actually going to front that for you to take it off the cost of the camper, because we're not getting that until after that. Until that 1 year.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we're giving that up front to you. And then when we get the check, then we. And
that's why there's a 1 year minimum. Okay, guys, because let's be honest, if you called up Bank of America as soon as you write a loan with RV Wholesalers, they're going to tell you, listen, pay it off. Sure. But you also just saved a multi-billion-dollar company another $5,000 in that instance. Right. And so basically, guys, regardless of which way you go, whether you pay cash or you finance, guys, that place, the dealership, whether it be RV Wholesalers, whether it be whoever, they're going to get paid in full. Okay. They're still getting the $60,000, whether it be from part way from the bank or part way from the customer. Either way, they're still getting paid the same. It's the dealerships who don't tell you about it. You are in a situation where you have to finance, and then now the dealership's getting paid $65,000 instead of just $60,000. Yeah. That's what we're trying to avoid right here, is that increase of money going to the dealership's pocket and coming out of yours.
Yeah, I know people are asking, like, okay, so dealerships like yours, where it's you're serving folks all over the nation, how does that happen? So I wanted to tag in David or no, because Mike wasn't working the greatest, so you might have to crank up your volume a little bit, but we're gonna have a couple minutes where he can kind of explain service a little bit. So, David. Go ahead, David. Can you hear me?
Hey guys, glad to help. You know, I've kind of been serving people or helping people my entire life.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of how we were raised, I guess you could say. You know, put other people first, take care of other people. So when we started the dealership, it was sort of a natural for me, especially if you look at my teaching background. You know, I taught for 10 years. I've always enjoyed teaching people new things. I've always enjoyed helping people, you know, both professionally, personally, etc. You know, taking care of kids and stuff was such a joy, such a pleasure. So when Mike and I opened up this dealership, it just kind of sort of wasn't even a choice. You know, we're going to focus on the people that we sell to. We're going to take care of them. We're going to treat them like family. And again, you know, that's just how we were raised. I remember we'd been selling for a few years, and we had the idea of putting a used unit on eBay, and it did really well. We put another one, you know, and long story short, through the winter months we had sold all of our used units, and in the spring we thought, you know what, I wonder if people would buy a new unit. So we put a new unit on eBay, and a crazy thing happened. A guy from Iowa bought it, put another one up, a guy from Texas bought it, and we thought, man, you know, we've stumbled onto something here. And I never will forget, my dad came into check on us, see how we were doing, just to visit. And we were telling him how great this thing was, right? We're going to be able to sell RVs all across the U.S., it appears, through eBay. And I'll never forget, he just kind of looked at us and he said, you guys started selling because of service, right? You did service first? Yeah, of course I did. So service most important thing? Yeah. Well, how are you going to service people that aren't even in your state? And it was kind of a low moment, it sort of like sucked the wind out of us. And we kind of regrouped for a couple of days and thought about it, even prayed about it. And then the idea popped in our head, hey, what if we found someone in each person's hometown to take care of them? And fast forward 23 years later, that's our nationwide service network. And now we're able to sell to people all across the U.S., all across Canada, and take care of every single one of them. But I think one of the things we're most proud of is that we've never had a customer not get serviced anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We've always been able to find someone to take care of them and someone to meet their needs. And
Oh, sorry, I think you cut out a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of the maybe Lane. Why don't you explain that those 2,918, I think it was last I checked, service people across the nation, how that works? Because
for sure.
How
and so basically what happens here, guys, is that as David said, we sold a couple campers across the nation, and we didn't really know how to do service for those people. His dad basically came up to him and said, listen, kind of getting back to your beliefs, back to who you were, what made you who you are, was service. And so how do you plan on servicing these people? And like David said, it was kind of a low moment. And basically what happens is they develop this network by simply picking up the phone and calling service centers and saying, listen, this is the problem. Can I count on you to fix this customer's problem, just like, our problems are, you know what I mean? And basically what happened is that's how it started to develop. Okay. Call after call after call to the next person, to the next person. And now we've got 2,900. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is it's not a stationary thing. Okay. It's something that we've developed and will continue to develop because we haven't covered everywhere. I can't say that,
But it's nice because when I take my camper, I'm like 4, 10, 12, 20 hours away from my home dealership, so it's like,
sure.
But when someone shows up and when I'm parked at a RV place and my AC is not working and a mobile AC guy shows up, it's a vetted person from RV Wholesalers. It doesn't necessarily have to be the local dealer in that little town that I'm camping in. And it's a beautiful thing. An hour later, back into camping, I don't have to drive it home and be ruined.
Absolutely.
I like it.
And that's the cool thing too, is, we develop them. We originally did it for people's hometowns. Right. Mm-hmm. But now anymore, no matter where you go, that is somebody's hometown. So if you're from Florida and you come up to Ohio, obviously we're here, but if you go out to, Montana, I sold a guy out in Montana, so you can talk to his hometown guy. And so that's the cool thing about how this nationwide service network works. We also use service centers. That's another big thing. Okay. I'm not sending you to another dealer because despite people's belief, just like the car industry, see people again, take the car industry and try to apply it to RVs, completely different. Okay. We already established that. But as you guys are traveling and things like that, you can't just take this to another Rockwood dealer if you buy a Rockwood, another XLR if you buy an XLR. You can't just take it to another one of those dealers and expect them to work on it. Each and every one of these guys are independently owned and operated. And basically what that means is that they are not required to work on a camper they do not sell. And at the end of the day, it just is what it is. That's what, some dealerships, they're very spiteful. Again, we already established the very first thing that came out of my mouth when we talked about this webinar is that they are very deceptive and spiteful people in the RV industry. Okay. And that's a good percentage of them. Okay. It's not like we're talking about a 5%. We're talking about over 75% of dealerships out there in the industry are very spiteful people. They know you're between a rock and a hard place. So they either help you and take advantage of you price wise, or they don't help you because you didn't buy from them.
I thought you were just making that up. Oh, sorry.
Sometimes, I've seen it enough now, and just over the last year that, depending on where you are in the U.S., there's only a couple of states where these service centers can be more than just 25 miles away. So the majority of the country, chances are, if you give me a zip code, I can guarantee probably 98% of the time there's going to be one 5 minutes away from you. And, like for my mom and dad, for example, out in Colorado, they bought themselves a Wildwood FSX toy hauler, and they were having problems with
They bought it from Lane? Did they buy it from Lane?
No, they were nice enough to buy it from me.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad. But they were having some problems, and it wasn't of emergency. So they finished up their trip, and they got it. And turns out that there's this place. I had our service department call out there, and now we have Premier RV Parts and Service in Peyton, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So they're
added to the list.
Plus one to the list.
Nice. Yeah, and that's the thing too, guys. These people are vetted. Okay, I mentioned we use service centers and not dealers. The main reason we do that is because service centers don't get paid to sell you a new camper. Okay, they want to fix your camper.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing too is that there is no grief or bad blood or anything like that for you going to another service center. They only get paid to do service. They're part of our network because we bring them business. Okay. A lot of service centers, here's another, throw out here. Okay. A lot of service centers, they won't do warranty work. Something that RV Wholesalers has kind of overcome here is we actually pay with a credit card over the phone. And that way these service centers can do your warranty work because they're getting paid.
And because a lot of service centers, they expect the owner of the RV to pay it up front and then hope they get reimbursed by the factory, which is a pay forever process.
Exactly. Well, and the reason being is they pay like $20 at a time, $20, $30. It's like a monthly payout plan or something like that.
Yeah, I hate to cut you guys short, but I know we've got more questions than we can answer, and our time's running out. But a couple of things I want to give you guys before. So here's contact information. Eric and Lane, you guys can answer questions today if people call you. How late are you guys working today?
I'm here till 6 today.
6 Eastern time.
I'm here till 7 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so reach out by phone, leave a message. They'll get back to you in the next 24 hours, if not sooner. And here's their emails. You mentioned a show. We do have a really cool show, and basically it's a whole day of us doing walkthroughs through Class C's, Class A's, lots of travel trailers, toy haulers, the whole bit. It's a lot of fun, special pricing, all kinds of great stuff. And we're going to work in a lot of teaching, and we're going to get into service contracts, basically like an extended warranty kind of thing that you'd be able to learn what's good and what's bad in that area. So that'd be something we didn't get to cover today, but would love to get you up to speed on that. So I'm going to put up information for that right now. So over there should be a link to get my free tickets for this show coming up. Cool thing about RV shows, when they're virtual, like for us, we don't have that huge overhead. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to wait till the winter show and go down to the IX Center or the convention center and get a really good deal on an RV. We got to think about, it's like all that space costs that dealer well over $100,000 just for the space. And then he's got to get all those units there, hire staff to clean them all. Since
who do you think's paying for that?
Yeah, so all that money right there, it's kind of hard to give really good deals when you just paid $100,000 to $250,000 out just to be there and then staff it and all that. So that's why this virtual show is really helpful. We can do the same thing, but we do it right here at the location. So I help produce that, so I'm a little partial to it. But we have a lot of fun and make sure it's educational and give out great deals. We have a ton of giveaways too. So check that out. Just click on that, get signed up. It's super easy. And then one last thing for you guys for sticking with us to the very end. Appreciate it. Those of you that hung out here, the owner said I could give away 4 of these $500 credits to anybody that wants to purchase an RV here.
Oh, hold up.
Where hit that freeze button?
What is that song? Freeze frame? Ooh.
Hey, Austin, what we got going on here, Bo?
You on the Wi-Fi over there?
Like 500.
Oh, there you are.
There you go.
Go back about 30 seconds. You were all froze up.
They can have a $500 credit that will go towards your delivery. So we can have this thing delivered to your home and save $500 just off that. So just email me in the subject 500, and here's my email address, and I'll make sure you get that taken care of. I'll send that out to Eric and Lane, and they'll hook you up. So if that's any. Thanks for.
It's a lot of them, but any question you guys have, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for taking time, and appreciate Lane and Eric for you guys hanging out with us and answering all these questions, and the rest of these questions will get answered here shortly. So take care, and we look forward to seeing you camping soon. So
all right.
Thanks, guys.
Happy camping.
See ya.
See ya.